Hello, y'all. My name is Christian Flores, your host with Aspiring Generational Wealth. Today we have Mustafa. Sorry, man.
Good.
So today he's here to tell us his story.
Absolutely. So, a little bit about me, right?
Yes,
My
sir.
name is Hakim Mustafa, 31 years old, entrepreneur, investor, father of two, family man. But it wasn't always like this, right? We all come from somewhere. We all have a background. Usually it's by accident to how we get into the fields that we're in, or some kind of life experience that we've been through that pulls us to a path that we're in, or whatever profession that we're in, right? So a little bit about myself. I've always been like entrepreneur minded ever since I was a kid, right? What I used to do is I used to sell in elementary school. I used to sell my old video games, my PlayStation games, PlayStation 1. I would play them until I didn't want them anymore, until they were worn out. I would clean them up, put them in a new packaging, take them to school and sell them, right? So I sell my old games. That way I can always go to the store, GameStop, Funkoland, there's a couple other places. And I could buy new games, right? So that was my way of making my own money so I could buy my own video games, right? I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. So, in the city, we had a lot of different places. Everybody had some kind of hustle going, whether it was selling, clothes, CDs, candy, video games. It really didn't matter. Water, people selling bottles of water. So everybody had a hustle. So all growing up, I sold my video games. That's how I started out. Then I went to selling old pairs of tennis shoes that I didn't want anymore. I would sell those. I would sell my cousins if they didn't want them anymore. It really didn't matter, right? Because we could take that money, we could buy what we want. And then continue to get old. I was just always selling stuff. Worked at the flea market selling T-shirts. I burned CDs. I used to burn CDs and do the mixtapes. That way I could buy my Air Forces, my flight jackets, and all that, all that good stuff. I had my own money, right? And so when you do that coming up, and you see like each transaction, you're making money. Every transaction, you're putting more money in your pocket, right? So it sparks something in your brain like, oh, I need to do more of this. The more I do, the more money I can make, right? And then just growing up, I always worked jobs as well, but I was always on the side selling something else, right? Whether it was lotions, body oils, incense, whatever you could think of, really didn't matter, right? That's just how I came up because it was just always in me. And so now the journey that I'm on now, I'm in the financial services industry. Financial services industry is an amazing industry. You get to learn a lot. You get to learn about the foundations of money, about how to use money, how to make money to be your servant instead of your master, which is a big statement. But you get to build a solid foundation financially for yourself once you learn certain things in this industry. So I love it. I fell in love with it. And so that's a little bit about my background, right? But starting out in this industry was by accident. Right? Starting out in this industry is by accident. I went to prison for 5 years, right? I got out at the end of 2015. So when I got out, I had two small kids. I had no college degree. I did have my diploma, but I was trying to figure out, I was gone for 5 years. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to provide for my family at this point, right? Because I don't know, things have changed. I don't really know what to do. I didn't have a career before I went in. So when I got out, I was trying to figure out, which way can I go? I ended up landing a restaurant job that my good friend now, he's my good friend. He's the owner of the restaurant. I'm gonna work with him since 2 weeks after I got out of prison. I got the job. He was just opening his restaurant. I worked for him for 5 years. But while I was working for him, I was also learning more about business. And I was also working my businesses on the side. I also enrolled in college because I was trying to figure out what to do next. So I do have my bachelor's degree in information technology with a concentration on security, right? Cybersecurity. It's very big. That was going to be my go-to if all else failed, as far as how I can make decent income to take care of my family. I'm going to use this degree, right? But in the mix of things, I was working at the restaurant. I needed transportation. I have two small kids. I got to figure out how to get to work. I had zero credit. and I only had a couple $100 in my name. So when I went to the dealership, $800 is pretty much all I had, bussing tables and serving. I took my tips every day, put it in the ATM. I take $800 to the dealership. Now I was young, early 20s. I really didn't know about mid 20s. I didn't know anything about buying a car and financing, right? So, and I didn't have any credit. So long story short, they make you fill out all the documents. They don't break anything down to you when you do this because they just want the sale, right? They're salesmen. So I bought this car. It's a 2014 Hyundai Elantra, base model. It's on sale for $14,000, right? I gave them my $800 down payment. I thought I was doing something magnificent. When I did that, it didn't work. So long story short, my monthly payments were $463.11 for 2014 Hyundai Elantra base model, sticker price at $14,000. So I started panicking a little. Okay, I came down here with 800. You're telling me it's gonna be $463 a month. That's without insurance, that's without gas, that's without everything else that you got to pay for, right? Property taxes, so on and so forth. I sucked it up, said, okay, I need a car. Now, about 3 days later, a little birdie was on my shoulder, and it told me to look at my paperwork from the dealership. So as I pulled out my folder and I started looking through the paperwork, I noticed something said finance charge. I didn't know what that was, but I seen it was a big number, right? The car was $14,000. When I read finance charge, it said $18,000. I was like, what? What is that? So then I seen the total, it said $32,000. That's when I realized I'm paying $32,000 for this $14,000 car. And that's when my life changed. That's when my life changed. $32,000 for a $14,000 Hyundai Elantra. Yes. Yeah. So my life changed. That's when I realized I'm being taken advantage of because I don't have credit. That's when I realized my finance charge costs more than the car actually costs. That's when I realized I'm paying for this car 2 times because I don't have credit. I don't have good credit. So that's when I realized a lot of my friends and family members were also being taken advantage of the same way because we don't know this information. And that's when I decided to start digging. So, that's a little bit about my background. That's how I started getting into the credit space. I started digging and I wanted to help more people.
That's cool. That's cool. I like the journey.
Yeah.
Geez, I can't believe 32,000. I would have
30.
But so you said you've been doing this for 5 years?
Yeah, I've been doing this about 5 years now.
Okay. So do you need a degree to be in the credit field?
You do not need a degree to be in the credit field. You don't.
Okay, so what are some tips that people don't know about credit that you would want them to know about?
Some tips. First off, how important credit is. That's the best tip I can probably say, is how important it is. Your credit can determine your lifestyle. It can determine what you can or can't have access to, right? It could determine how much you're spending for, on things, especially big purchases. It could determine how much more rich you're making the financial institutions and the banker, well, not the bankers, the banks, just in interest charges alone, right? So I need people to understand the biggest tip. First off, is credit is very important. You're going to need it. Unless you're a multi-millionaire or billionaire, and even they're trying to get good credit. But if you're not a multi-millionaire or billionaire, you need good or great credit to have a better lifestyle and to have access to things you won't have access to and opportunities. So from there, my next biggest tip was, I would say, don't be afraid of credit and to put things in your name if you're responsible for paying for those things, like a cell phone, like a car, like you can finance a laptop, you can finance a camera, things of that nature. Don't be afraid to put that in your name because it's going to help you build credit. And these are things that you can use every single day. That's going to help you build credit. So that I'll say those are my two big tips for credit.
All right. So one thing I want to ask, so when you like, let's say you do get something like a laptop, and you're paying it off throughout the process. Once you
Mhm.
close the thing, doesn't that hurt your credit?
Not necessarily. Now, not necessarily. So that would be considered an installment loan, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not a revolving loan. So an installment loan eventually has to close because you're paying something off, right? So it looks good that you made all your payments on time and that you paid that loan off. So that helps you. Now, if it was like a credit card, it'd be different.
Okay. Yeah, it's because like for me, you ever heard of what's his name? Dave Ramsey?
I have.
Yeah, so I went on the Dave Ramsey thing. I was just about to have my kid. He was like, "Oh, do not have credit cards." So I like closed my credit card. I I was trying to, I fell for it, and then my credit, it was good, it was great, and once I closed the credit card, it dropped like 80, 90 points, and I was like,
Yeah.
and then you know like a year later, I tried to apply for credit cards again because I just had a son. I was struggling, so I was like, oh, let me try a credit card, and I just kept getting denied because of of because I closed the credit card. It was a lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah. So to your point, like the revolving loans, like credit card, you have a credit card for 8 years. Once you close it, you're taking away 8 years of history
Mm-hmm.
off your credit report. That's why that score drops. You just eliminated all of that history from your credit report. Is gone. So
It,
yeah, your score will drop.
it
So
was
I
made.
would advise, yeah. So everybody watching this, take this as a lesson. If you have a credit card in good standing, then you do not need to close it. Don't close it. Do not close it. Keep it open. Okay, if you had it open 20 years, keep it open. Buy a pack of gum if you need to, just to keep it open. Doesn't matter. But you want that to be open. It's going to continue to help you.
What's another trick about paying your credit? Because people always tell me there's little hacks when you're supposed to pay the credit cards. Do you believe that's true?
I mean, you can pay it back by the statement date. If you pay it back before the statement date, it's just when they report, it's going to have whatever the new balance is. You know, so that's a trick. But really, it depends, right? If you're trying to go ahead and get approved for something now, then you can go ahead and do that, right? Pay before the statement date. That's why every time it reports, it's going to be like a zero balance or a really low balance, whatever. If you're doing this for a long-term play though, you don't really have to worry about the number so much from month to month. Just continue to do the right actions. It's going to build itself. So it's also, it depends on your timeline. If you're trying to hit a big goal right now to get approved for something big, or if you just thinking about down the line, because as long as you're using it right, you're paying it back on time, your score is going to continue to build anyway. So that's just how it goes.
Also, do you think they should have a balance, like uh, at least like $5-10? Because someone says it's important to show that you have like credit used.
Yeah, I mean, showing them that you use it is one thing. You don't have to leave a balance on it, because whatever balance is going to get, it just gets hit with interest, whether it's $5, $500, whatever. It gets hit with interest. And why pay interest if you don't have to, right? As long as you're using that card and you're paying that card back, that's counted as on-time payments.
Okay.
It's already shown that you've been using it. You ran up a balance, you paid it back. So we're not trying to pay interest if we don't have to pay interest. That's counterproductive. We're trying to win. We're not trying to pay extra.
So that. Okay. What was I gonna? Okay. Do you think what about pre-credit cards for people who are trying to build credit? Do you think people should go on that route, or do you think they're scared because they have to invest their own money to get it?
Man, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question as well. Secure credit cards, very important, especially for people who don't have access to credit and can't get approved for credit cards. You need to get a secure credit card. I do think people are scared because they have to put money on it and they don't necessarily know how to use it, and they feel like they're losing money because you tell them, okay, put $200 on it, but don't spend $200, right? So they feel like, oh, I'm losing money. You're not, right? But you need $200 that you don't have to tap into right now in order to help you start building. Now, like my company, we have a secure credit card where you can get 99.9% approval rate. The only way you don't get accepted is if you can't confirm your identity. It's very flexible. You can put as little as $10 up to $10,000 on this card. You can always increase your limits, right? But the important thing is this, is having an active trade line that's reporting positive for you, right? So you get that when you open a secure credit card. And then as long as you're using it the right way, it's going to report every single month as you're using the credit card, a revolving line of credit, on-time payments, not using too much. That's the keys to, that's what you want out of it. And then later on down the line, what's going to happen is they're going to give you your money back anyway. That deposit that you put on the card, you're going to get that back anyway. And then they're going to turn it into an unsecured line of credit. And they're going to increase your credit limit, which is going to help your score even more. And then you keep this card open, you don't close it.
How long
Just
does
let
it
it ride.
How long does it take for them to give you the money back?
So with our card is the fastest I ever seen. You could do it in as little as 4 months. Most traditional cards, it's going to be 6 to 12 months. So ours, you could be unsecured in as little as 4 months if you follow the guidelines. Easy.
Yeah, I just recently got a unsecured, and I thought the same way that you were just saying, like, I'm going to be down $200 instead of being up $200. But once I got it, my credit went up like a major. It was a major, I think it went up like 60 points. And
there you go.
The start. So.
And it's just going to continue to keep going up as long as you're doing the right actions every single month. Your score continues to go up.
That's good. That's good. What about like how long does it take for something to get removed from your accounts?
It's another great question. I'm glad you asked that too. Matter of fact, that's a great question. How long does it take for something to get removed? Now we're familiar with this 7-year rule, right? A lot of people, you probably heard it say after 7 years that whatever's on there is not going to be reporting anymore. It's going to drop off after 7 years, right? While that may supposed to be true, that's not always the case, right? I have clients, when we look at their credit report, they have accounts from 10, 12 years ago still reporting, right? And so, and if you don't check your credit report, you would never know that. You just always wonder, why is my credit not going up? So check your credit report. Now, how long does it take to get removed? Everybody's situation is different, right? Because we're going through the credit bureaus when we're disputing this information. Some people get accounts removed in 30 days or less. Most people, though, 45 to 90 days, they see the maximum amount of results, 45 to 90 days. You can't, the thing about the credit repair industry is you cannot guarantee. It's illegal to guarantee, hey, I can get this removed in 30 days. I can get this removed in 40 days. That's illegal, right? Because it's more than one side of the process. So to answer your question, everybody's situation is a little bit different. 45 to 90 days, typically we see a lot of action, the most success. Some people shorter, some people longer.
What's the craziest thing you've seen like on this journey of like helping people build up the credit?
Craziest thing I would say is just misinformation. A lot of times misinformation or lack of information, right? For instance, I had someone who was in like $21,000 in credit card debt, and she was telling me she was paying the minimum payments every month to get out. So I was like, well, listen, it's good that you're trying to pay every month. That's fantastic. However, you will never pay off $21,000 by paying a minimum payment every month. It's not designed for that purpose, right? And so I had to actually educate her on how this works and show her. We had to actually go through her credit card online portal and stuff and pull up the interest rates and kind of show her what the numbers look like, so she would know, like, hey, you're really paying this much.
Yeah.
You know, you can be paying this until forever for the rest of your life, paying the minimum payment. And that's how it's designed. So that's probably the craziest. Just because she didn't know any better.
21,000 though. Oof.
21,000. That's a lot of debt to pay minimum payments and have all that interest hitting. That's a lot.
Yeah, the
You
interest.
cannot get out of that home. Yeah, you can't get out of that home unless you hit the lottery. That's about it. Like, that's it.
That's wild. That's wild. That's why I want to like educate the younger generation. Because how about apartments? So do when you get an apartment, what's the importance of credits?
Man, so I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, right? I'm gonna tell you something. Getting an apartment is not easy, especially if you live in a city. Here, if your credit score is below what, like a 630 some places, 650 some places, you're not getting approved. You're just not. You're not getting approved. They are pulling credit reports, and if you have one recent collection account on there, 9 times out of 10 you get denied as well. So like the credit is important, man. They could have vacancies and still not take you because you don't have the sufficient credit, you know? And that's just a big, so that when I say it can affect your lifestyle, this is what I mean. Like a lot of people get trapped in areas they don't want to be in, the less desirable areas, the hood, or other places that's close enough to it that, they don't want to be affected. A lot of people want to leave, but they can't because they're not in a position where they're going to get accepted. They're going to get denied because of their credit. And it might not be because they're bad people, it's just because they don't know how to build credit or they never tried to build credit. And so they won't get approved for it. So now they get stuck. Now the kids get stuck. And that's just how it happens. People want to
Okay.
see those credit scores these days.
Also, another question, since you just brought up kids, do you think so to help their kids build credit while they're growing up? Do you think it's important to like put a kid on the credit card? Like if you're responsible enough, putting their name as like a cosigner?
Yeah, fantastic question. Well, I wouldn't put them as a cosigner. You put them as an authorized user on your account. Yeah, you put them as an author. Yeah, so I think it is very important to do that because by the time your kids hit 18, they have great credit. If you're doing the right thing with your credit card, they have great credit. They could hit 18 with a 740 credit score, 850 credit score that has a lot of history, and they could go get approved for a nice apartment. They can get approved for a house. They can get approved for a nice car, whatever it is they want, because their credit is already on point. Boom. They just got to make sure you got the income. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a life hack people don't know about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't even know it.
My friend told me like his friend's parents did that, and the kid got like a brand new 2020 Charger, and just off of his parents doing the credit.
Mm-hmm. With real low interest rates too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you were how'd you figure out your why on this journey of entrepreneurship, and when did you figure that out?
My why. Well, I figured my why out. I really figured my why out once this car situation happened to me. That's when I really figured it out. Like, I need to help more people get out of similar situations because I know, one time before I had got that car, actually, I went to a Honda dealership and they said, we got a brand new, I forgot the year, brand new Honda. It was they released the new ones at the end of the year, so it was for the next year coming. No down payment, 239 a month. If you got a 650 credit score, if you got a 650 credit score, no down payment, 239 a month, brand new Honda, 0 miles on it. So I went there, I didn't have any credit. They was like, well, you can't get it. Do you know somebody who will co-sign for you that has that credit? My family didn't even have good enough credit, a 650. Most Americans in the United States have less than a 650. So I couldn't even get that car. You know what I'm saying? So that was my why. When I figured out all of this stuff, I was like, there's more people that need this help. There's more people that I can help impact their lives in a better way. There's more people I can save from these high interest rates, these finance charges. There's more people I can help get approved for things that they want and need. And I lived it, so I know how it feels being in that position, right? And so that was my why, just continue to push on this journey, is because I've been personally affected. I know how it hurts you. I know how it hurts your bank account. I know how it makes you feel. And I want more people to realize what's going on and to help them get out of those situations, because it's like you're prey to the financial institutions. When you don't have credit, you're prey. They're going to eat you alive. That's really how it goes. So that's my why. Yeah, that's my why. And that's how I figured it out.
Good. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, and so the end piece of that story was, after a year, once I looked at the finance charge, I realized it was 32,000 in total. After it took me a while. I started learning about credit, researching credit, buying books, going through courses, practicing what I was learning. My credit score started building and building and building and building. After a year, I was in the 700s. What I learned was I could refinance my car. Didn't know what that was. I learned about a refinance. So when I got with the credit union and we did the application, they approved my application because my credit was so amazing, right? Over 700, no derogatory items, none of that. So what happened was this: they refinanced my loan. I went from paying 32,000 overall to paying 16,000 in total. Remember, my car was only 14,000. So when they refinanced my loan, I went from 14 to 16. No, I went from 32,000 I owed to 16,000, right? That's what happens with a refinance. So now I'm only at 16,000, plus my car payment went down $200 a month. So now I'm saving over $2,400 a year just in car payments alone. And I didn't have to pay a car note for 3 months. So I was the happiest person in the world. Didn't know this could happen. My interest rate went to a 2.99% interest rate.
That's major.
I'm only paying for the car. And I got money back. I got checks back, for gap insurance, all kind of other stuff. I was getting checks in the mail. I didn't even know all this stuff was about to happen. I was the happiest guy in the world. I was like, oh, everybody needs this, man. Everybody needs, and so that it really drives me to be able to do that.
So, what are some books that if someone wanted to start this track or on this journey, to be a credit coach, what would you advise them to be?
Well, the first step I would say is download my ebook. So HakimMustafa.com. Go to the store. It's a free ebook. It teaches you. It's very easy to understand about personal credit, right? It's going to teach you the basics of credit, what you need it for, how to build it, so on. What's the difference between repairing and building, all of that good stuff. I would say read that, because I just pretty much took the information that I know and summarized it into that book, so it'll be easy to understand for people. And then from there, I would say, you could go on an Experian website, you can go on TransUnion website, you go on Equifax website, you can just start research, and you can start reading things about finance, and it's really going to start opening your brain, because when you learn about credit, you learn about finance, and you learn about interest rates, you just start learning a whole different world of information that's going to blow your mind. You'll learn that the collection agencies, they make billions of dollars off of your debt. They spend pennies on the dollar. You'll learn so much wild stuff that it just keeps me going, man.
All right, another good question, just because you just brought it up. So for someone who owes a collection debt, do you think it's important for them to pay it in full, or like negotiate with the who they owe?
I think first off, it's important to, if it's already in collections, I think it's important to reach out to a credit repair agent or company like myself, because we can help you get those deleted from your credit report. Now, however, in some cases, it might be beneficial if you're in a rush to pay that just to get it taken off your credit report, depending on what it is, depending on how much it is. However, my first step, I would say, get with somebody who does credit and see what your options are, because once it's in collections, it can be taken off your credit report. The company already wrote that off, so they compensated. That's what I would say.
So I got like 10 minutes left or 6 minutes left on the timer. So
Okay.
I just want you a few questions. Okay. What are some books outside of like credit that has changed your life?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a very impactful book about finance. What's this? Another one I really like. Can't think of the name of it right now. That one is important. Think and Grow Rich is very important. Uh, I got a list of books on my phone. Just about any other books, pretty much on finance. But Think and Grow Rich is probably one of the greatest books. And then Grant Cardone has a book about investing in the real estate. I think that's another real important book because it's going to show you where to put your money at. So yeah. Yeah, I love 10X. You know, that's not the book I'm talking about. It's like Beginner's Guide to Real Estate. I think that's the name of it. But yeah,
Okay.
Real Estate Guru. So yeah, I think that's another great book to learn or to read.
Have you ever read the 4 Hour Work Week?
I have not heard about it. I never read it though.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading currently, but I think it's good. Like especially like for people who are on this journey. It just basically talks about like letting others do the works that you shouldn't stress about.
So pretty much delegating tasks. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what the wealthy people do, or people do to start building wealth. When they delegate tasks, because you can't do everything when you build in the scale of the business. You know, you get tired up doing the little stuff. You can't do the big things.
Yeah,
So yeah.
this is a life hack and it's time hack because you never get the time that you waste. So time is always
Money
money.
buys time.
Mhm.
Money buys time. That's why time is money. Money buys time. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so what is one thing that you would tell your younger self if you could see them, or a younger 18-year-old?
Oh, that's a good one. I would tell myself to focus, like truly focus on how I could better help people. Focus down one lane and focus on building relationships and how I could better help and serve people. I would tell myself that. I would tell myself, and don't quit. I would tell myself that for sure. Because that's the way you build value in your own life is when you can build more value in other people's lives. That's how you build value. So yeah, I tell myself that at 18.
Okay, that's a bar.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. Let's see. I got two more. What are what are some failures that you? What is a failure that you've learned from and has helped you grow on this journey?
I mean, plenty of failures, man. Building relationships, right? Building relationships with people. I've had some failures. There's some people that I've communication is key, right? When you don't know how to communicate, it's hard to build a relationship. So trying to build relationships without communication, that's definitely some mistakes. A mistake that has cost me a lot. So yeah, that's definitely my biggest one. Build relationships and communication
Yeah, I saw a
is
message
key.
the other day where it said, "Don't start a business if you can't communicate. If they can't communicate before the money, they're never gonna communicate when you get the money."
There you go. It's important.
There. So, where can people find you?
You can find me on every social media platform. I think I got all of them. The most dominant is Facebook. It's Hakim Mustafa, and then on Instagram is Hakim_building leaders. So those are my two spots. I'm on YouTube as well, though. I'm on everything. So, but if you really want to catch up with me, Facebook and Instagram, let's do it. You can find me there all the time.
Okay, I appreciate you joining me, and thank you.
Hey man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the invitation. I love it.